Hello friends, thank you for joining in. Welcome to our channel TechSupper and Cloud Podcast. My name is Ankit Bendal and I'm a cloud architect. Today we are going to discuss how we can configure auto-scaling in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. So let's get started. Let's discuss a bit about what auto-scaling is. Auto-scaling basically helps you in adjusting the number of compute instance in a pool based on the demand. So, for example, if there is an application which is configured onto the cloud and there is some abrupt demands, high resource utilization that comes up in that particular application. So system should automatically configure some additional resources to support your application. Or if the demand goes less, so whatever the additional resources that has been configured, it should automatically remove those compute instances. There are two types of auto-scaling that can be configured in Oracle Cloud. First is metric-based auto-scaling, and second is schedule-based. When we say metric basically a CPU or a memory. So for example, if there is an application, you can configure an upper limit of a CPU that if that particular thresholds goes beyond to that particular limit, my system should automatically configure one more compute resource to support the application. And I can configure a lower threshold. If my system resource utilization goes beyond that particular threshold, so it automatically removes the additional resource, additional instance that has been configured. It should automatically reduce that. Second is scheduling based. If you know that there's a pattern of your application that in a month or in a day or in a quarter, at a particular specific time, my resource utilization goes high, you can configure an event according to that particular time. For example, let's say if I need 4 instances to be configured at 9 a.m. in the morning, so you can configure an event at 9 a.m. At that particular point in time, all the 4 instances will be up and running. In the evening at 5 p.m. If I don't want my 4 instances to be running and I just need only 1 instance, so you can configure only 1 minimum instance to be up and running, and the rest 3 will automatically be removed from the pool. So the scheduling based auto scaling events takes place between 9 to 5 only. Let's talk about kind of small architecture. That is what we are going to do in the demo. First of all, we need to have a tenancy. In that tenancy, we'll have a VCN, which is a virtual cloud network, which you're going to provision on Oracle Cloud. As a user, I'll be connecting via internet to this particular load balancer, which I'll be configuring. In this load balancer, it will have some security list, which I would need to update so that I can access this load balancer. I'll have a public subnet configured in this. In public subnet, I'll have a compute instance, which will be up and running. This compute instance will be part of an instance pool, and there will be a auto scaling configuration that we're gonna do. So we're gonna put some metric-based auto-scaling configurations. So if that metric goes beyond that particular threshold, the configuration, the auto-scaling event will trigger and will put additional instance in this instance pool. And once the threshold is down, then it will automatically remove the additional instance from this particular pool and will come back to the minimum configuration that we have done. So the steps, that is what we are going to configure in the auto scaling. is, first of all, definitely you need a tenancy on OCI. We'll need a compartment and a VCN. We're going to create a load balancer. We're going to update some security list as per the requirement. We're going to configure an instance pool and the auto-scaling configuration. And we're going to test that setup out. So this is what we're going to do. If you'll have any questions, please do comment, please do reach out. So now it's a demo time. Let's get started. So this is my tenancy, which I have created. This is a free tenancy, which I have created on Oracle Cloud. In this particular tenancy, what I have done, I have already created a compartment with the name of Autoscaling. That is what we are going to use for this particular demo. Then we have configured a VCN with VCN Autoscaling. If you see, I have taken the compartment of Autoscaling in there, and we have created a VCN with a CIDR range of 10.0.0/16. In that VCN, I have two subnets, private and public, with a /24 configuration, which is already divided. When you configure a VCN, it automatically creates all these default security list, internet gateway, route tables, NAT gateway, service gateway. It automatically gets configured. If you want to understand more that how VCN can be created, so there's a very good video by my friend Ankur in our TechSupper channel. You can refer to that. So once we have a VCN created, let's go ahead and create a load balancer. Let's create a load balancer. We'll use the first one. We can give a name, let's say test_LB. We'll have a public visibility. We'll have that IP assigned from the pool automatically. Since it's a demo, we are just going to use the minimum bandwidth of this. We are going to attach it to a VCN, which we have created, VCN Autoscaling, and a subnet. Since it is a public one, so it is only showing a public subnet over here. Let's do next. This is for the backends where we are going to attach the servers. So we'll have a round robin configuration as a policy for the backend. If you have already the servers which are already configured, you can attach those servers over here. Since we don't have any servers right now, we are not going to do it here, but we are going to do it later on. As in protocol, let's check TCP as a protocol. We are going to have port 80. You can configure listener. So I'm going to have, let's say, listener LB. We'll take HTTP as a protocol, and we'll have the port 80, which is configured. If you want to enable some logging to understand how, if something goes wrong, how to do a troubleshooting, monitoring, everything can be done. You can access it, you can just put the compartment, everything can be done, and just submit it. So a load balancer, it is creating a load balancer. Since it will be incomplete because we have not configured any backend set over here right now. Meanwhile, what we can do, we can just go back to the networking, go to VCN. We can also configure a security list. So for the security list, so this is a private subnet, this is a public subnet. So we are going to have one security rule in this. I would just put like 0.0/0 with all source and destination would be port 80. So this is what we are going to use. So this is the rule which has been configured. Let's go and check the load balancer. Yeah, so the load balancer currently is active. IP address is there, but overall health is incomplete because there is no backend right now. So let's go ahead and create some backend for them. Let's create an instance. Let's create a test underscore instance for this. Again, you can select the compartment. You can do some placement based on your requirement, which AD, capacity type, image. I'm just going to have it on the default ones. The image is Oracle Linux, and we'll have a free shape which is available, which is there. Networking, we can do some edit, or it's already in a public subnet. IP can be assigned. If you have the keys, you can just upload the keys over here or paste the keys over here. Since I don't have any key right now, I can just generate a key pair and I can just save it over here. Let me just go to this. I can create a new folder. Let's say new SSH keys. Let me save this particular key, private key, and now I'll have the public key saved. So boot volume will automatically get assigned, and let's just create the instance. So once this particular instance will be up and running, we're gonna do the configuration of those instances to create a pool. This is getting provision. It will take some seconds. You can also check out how much percentage that it is there. It is at 15% right now. Great. So now it is up and running. I can just go to create instance configuration. Again, in the same compartment, I can just name out the configuration name, instance config, like test. We can create a config. Once we have that instance configuration, we can create an instance pool. Let's give a name, test-instance pool. Again, in the same compartment. This is the configuration. You can also check out these configuration details. So this configuration would be same, whatever the instance that we created. So this will have again the Oracle Linux. This the shape would be again same, E2 micro, which is what we have configured. So whatever the configuration or whatever the additional resource that is going to be created, it is going to take the same shape and configuration. Let's go next. Since I'm doing it in Mumbai, it has only 180, so it will take. If I want to configure any specific fault domain, I can do that, or I'll let Oracle decide for me what is best. Let's attach it to a VCN and put it into a public subnet. Now here you will get an option that you can attach a load balancer. So this is the load balancer that we created. This is the backend set that we created. Port is 80. So this will automatically get attached to this particular load balancer. So you can just review the details and you can have it created. So now I have the instance pool which is running. Let's do some configuration in that instance pool. Let's put it like, again, the same kind of name, test autoscaling configuration. We already have the compartment which has been chosen. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier, a metric based autoscaling or a scheduling based. In this particular demo, we are going to have a metric based. Maybe later we'll do a demo for scheduling based as well. In a metric, we are going to have a particular options. Or if you go for a scheduling based, we are going to have the time range, that at what point in time, what minute, what hour, what day of the month, you can configure it, or some traditional timings. In a metric based, we are going to have a policy name. Let's take test policy. In metric, we are going to select whether you want to have a CPU utilization metric or a memory utilization metric. Let's take a CPU utilization. We'll have a scale out rule. When we say scale out, it means greater than or greater than equal to. So if I put, for example, 10 as a percentage, so if my CPU percentage goes beyond 10, CPU utilization goes beyond 10%, then it will automatically add one instance. Scale in, which is a less than or less than equal to, that means if I put 5, so that means if my CPU utilization goes beyond 5, then it will automatically remove one instance. So that is the meaning of the scale out and the scale in configuration. But what are the minimum number of instances? Let's say I want to have at least one instance that should be up and running. Maximum number of instances, I would like to have, let's say 2. You can put whatever the number that is required to support your application. And the third is the initial number of instances. How many initial instances should be up and running? So let's put it as 1. You can review this configuration, and let's just go ahead and create this instance pool. You can go ahead and check. So if you see, this instance pool is basically scaling. So when I say scaling, it basically will be creating a instance for itself. So just give it a minute. You will start seeing, or I can just check out the details for work request. So if you see, it is in progress at a 40%. So it is creating the instances in the pool. So once the instance is created, you will see it in a attached instance and will have the IP address, everything for that particular instance. So now you can see one more instance has been created over here. If I go with that instance pool, and I can see my instance is already there now. So if I just go to this particular instance, I have the IP address with me, the public IP. I have the username, everything which is configured. And I can also see the metrics over here as well as it goes. So let's try and copy this particular IP address and check out if we are able to access this. Currently we are not. This could be the reason because we don't have any service running on this particular IP address or on this particular server. So what we're going to do is we are going to try and connect with the PuTTY and this particular server. Since it requires the SSH key. Right now, I am just trying to get this public key, sorry, get this particular key converted to a private key in a PPK format. That is what it is required to get. So let me just try and save it. Let's say new private key. Let's save it, close it. Again, let's go and get the putty. So this is the IP address. Let's have the IP address, copy it, connect it to our search key. This is the key. And let's get it going. Okay. So the username over here is OPC. You can even see it over here on the portal. Let's check out. Okay, so I think there is nothing running on this particular server. So let's just go ahead and directly sudo yum install httpd. So we'll basically install Apache server in this particular server so that there is something which should be running on port 80, which we can go ahead and connect it to. That is what we're going to do. Let's go with this. So now it is completed. Let's start the service. Let's also, I'm just opening the port so that we don't have to go again. Port. We have taken TCP port. Okay, so let's show the key. CT. So what we can do, we can just again start the service. We can even check whether it is now. So now you can see it is active running. Now we can check out this particular server. Oh, okay. So now we can see that we have the Apache server running. Let's go to instances. So just not get confused. What I can do, I'll just terminate this particular instance, the test instance that we created. We don't need it anymore since we have taken the configuration, and I can just remove this so that you don't get confused in this. This is the instance. We can also check out the load balancer. So if you see now the overall health of load balancer is okay. We can also try and connect to this particular load balancer, whether we are able to connect it. Yes, we are getting the Apache page over there as well. So now what we can do, we can try and increase the load of a compute instance that we have created. I guess since we have done and we have provided only just the 10%, let's check out the instance pool. It is already scaling. Okay, so if you see, because of certain things that we did, it already got spiked up, and that is why it is already scaling it up. So we don't have to do anything. It is already getting provisioned. So if you see, once you have the metrics which is going beyond 10% of the CPU utilization at a particular point, if it is even greater than 10%, it will automatically start configuring the resources. You can just check out the details. Since I have only the options of creating 2 instances, I already had 2 instanted, which are already there. I just deleted 1 instance, and that is why it was failed earlier. Now it is in progress. It is attaching the load balancer. It is in progress. Once we have that, we can just check out the details from the load balancer part. Right now, if we have backend set, so now you can see we have 2 backends which are now connected. Currently, it is failed because again, there is no service which is running on this particular server right now. But if we again configure the Apache over here, it will start connected. So we can see the instances. It should be up and running. I can also, can just go into the instance pool. We can check out details. It is already attached. So there are 2 instances which are already attached, which are running. And if I just go to the matrix part, so now it is below 10%. So after every 5 minutes, it basically will remove automatically the attached instance which they have created. It will start removing that. Let's wait for a few more minutes and we'll see that how that instance will getting terminated. Yeah, so let's see if you can see. So this is almost 5 minutes, and you know, the CPU utilization is not more than 2 or 3%. We can check out the details. So now if you see, it is already started terminating the instance in the pool. So it is in progress. It is detaching from the load balancer. If you see from the attached instance, so once it is attached, it will be start showing it as terminating. We can even check out the details. So see, it is now showing as the scaling mode. Once we have the work request completed, this is in progress. Once we have the work request terminated, so it will automatically terminate the instance. So now you can see that this particular instance is terminated, and detaching the load balancer and terminating the instance and pool is already succeeded. If I go to, so you can see that this particular instance is terminated, and we are left with the one which were running in the as a primary, as a minimum instance, which was running at the stage 1. So this concludes the demo of autoscaling part on Oracle Cloud. I hope you like this particular video. Please comment if you want to understand more, and please subscribe, like. Thank you.